Hey everyone, my name is Patrick Laguerre and this is my wife,
Fabiola Laguerre.
and we just want to welcome you to our YouTube channel. So today we just want to start off by speaking about a topic that everyone's been speaking about, and it's something that actually shocked us. It's pertaining to Devon Franklin and Megan Good actually having a divorce. Now, how did you feel when you found that out?
I was hurt. I was sad because that's one of the young black couples in Hollywood that we really loved. Well, I know you and I really liked them. I don't know about everybody else, but they were like, Megan Good is this girl that has been in Hollywood for so long, and here she goes and she gets married to Devon Franklin, who's kind of different from her, from what we're used to, but it changed her. And so we thought it was such a good couple.
Seeing that they were together for over 9 years now, and
Right.
now it's like they've invested time, energy, money spent, and so forth. What's your views towards divorce? Like, do you feel like this was a right decision for them to make, knowing that they are famous and popular and now the whole world knows, or what?
Oh, that's a hard question to answer. So how do I feel about divorce? So when you get into a marriage, it's a commitment. Just like when you sign a contract for a job, it's a commitment. Any relationship you decide to get into, it is a commitment. So what's special about marriage is you do it before God, and it's something that is sacred, that God looks upon. It's the highest esteem in the religious and the spiritual aspect, especially for us who are Seventh-day Adventists. So what do I think about divorce as a millennial?
No, I'm just saying this because I feel like, when two people get married, we don't, the approach is never to divorce.
Mm-hmm.
We all approach this in terms of, all right, I'm going to give this all I have. I'm going to invest everything that I have. I'm going to be open. I'm going to be transparent. But then nowadays, one of the key things is that, a lot of times people get, they get married, and then the next thing you know, a short time period flies by and you hear divorce. And it's like, wow, what has happened that has led to this divorce? So what I'm more asking is, how do you feel pertaining to divorce? Is divorce something you believe in? Is divorce something you don't believe in? Are you completely against it?
So I'm going to answer one of the questions. I'm going to just comment on one of the things you said, that when you're popular and when you're a celebrity, or when you set the tone of something that appears to the public perfect, there's such a high expectation for you that people forget that you're human. There's two humans that get into a relationship, that get into a marriage, and it's so public that there is this almost like this pressure. And so when you said that, do you think it was right for them to get divorced because they were in the public? I think that's a lot of pressure, and that's a hard question to answer. But do I believe in divorce? No. The short answer to that is no. I don't think that when you get married that you should get divorced. However, there are certain things that happen that can cause people to drift and to separate. So the real thing is am I going to stay married to make the public happy, my family happy, my kids happy? Or am I going to stay in a marriage and be miserable? You know what I'm saying? So these are the things that you're battling. So
and a lot of people who are, married are miserable.
Right. And we see that in our older generation a lot.
Exactly.
And, we both vowed to ourselves growing up, seeing, not to say that our parents do that, but of situations or families like that you don't want to be miserable just because you're married, just because you have a child, So it's a very hard question to answer. So the real question is how bad is it? And is it costing you your happiness and your mental health? You know what I mean? Are we getting divorced for things that we can work on, that we can just overlook? Or
I think a lot of people, reach a point in their relationship where they just give up on the whole aspect of wanting to work things out. If there is lack of forgiveness, if there is a lack of a willingness to want to work things out, if your spouse is expressing to you how they feel and you're just completely ignoring it, then of course these are doorways that lead, towards Satan using someone else to enter your relationship. In terms of, if I have a void and you're not filling it, or you have a void and I'm not filling it, it may be a lack of affection, it may be a lack of attention, it may be lack of communication. If there's a doorway that's open, then that can be an opportunity for someone else to step in. A lot of times, in terms of marriage, the financial aspect of things is something that affects a lot of marriages, where two people enter the marriage, but they're not open, they're not transparent with each other when it comes to the finances. So now it's like, now you're a year or 6 months into this marriage, and now you're finding out, hey, this person is 200,000 in debt, 300,000, or their credit score or their credit, they owe thousands upon thousands of dollars in credit. So it's like, if the trust, if the transparency is not established from the beginning, from boyfriend and girlfriend, that aspect of things, then it makes it much more difficult when you are married to this person to now be able to understand, how can we work together? If you weren't working together from before, then how can we now, work together? But here's the thing, when you make the decision to become married, this is it's a lifelong commitment. And if you don't have the end goal in mind, in terms of seeing yourself marrying this person until the day you die, then don't get married to that person. If you can't see yourself being fully committed to this person until the day you die, then don't waste your time.
But that's not fair to say, because...
How is it not fair, Fabiola?
Because you can't foresee that all the time.
Okay.
So sometimes, so here's one, in a nutshell. The reason why people divorce is because expectations are not met. Whether it's financial expectations, whether it's romantic expectations, sexual expectations are not met.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really what it boils down to. So what I expected from you, you are not giving me.
Mm-hmm.
The receiver and the giver are not meeting each other's expectations, and that's what happens. And sometimes in a boyfriend and a girlfriend relationship, those expectations are there. And then they can easily change when you get into marriage, because every day that you grow, you change. And you can talk to somebody today and say, oh, I have this idea. And then 5 years down the line, you change your mind. And that's your right. You are allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to be different. You're allowed to grow. And so, but the reality is these are expectations that we're not meeting until things change. So to say, oh, I'll get married and I'm stuck with you for the rest of my life, and if I don't see myself marrying you. Reality is nobody gets married to say, I'm going to divorce you in a year, or I'm going to divorce you in 2 years. Nobody does that. And first of all, marriage is expensive. If you had a wedding, it's expensive, unless you just want to just spend money, but nobody does that. So what happens is change. Things change. People's mindset change. People grow. And sometimes you don't grow the same way. You don't grow on the same pace. Values change. Experience, exposure changes. For example, I'm a mother now. I wasn't a mother 4 years ago. So the way I see life, the way I view things can change from how you were. And so the pressure of having a baby can also separate people. Maybe you didn't meet my expectations as a father. You met my expectations as a husband, as a boyfriend, but as a father, you failed me. Or as a partner, as a father, you failed me. Now things change. You understand what I'm saying?
So there's always a level of growth, adaptation.
Right.
Same effort that you've put in before marriage should be the same effort you look to put even after being married.
Well, that's if the person thinks that it's the same effort. It's all about how I perceive it. It's all about perception, and communicate it. So what if I think that you're not working hard, but you feel like you're doing your very best? How do you solve that?
Well, I guess that's where communication comes in.
Right.
A lot of times people are more quick to share their issues pertaining to the relationship with other people, as opposed to expressing, how they feel with their spouse.
Right.
And that's another recipe for disaster. We're speaking about multiple avenues where a relationship can, come to an end or be ruined by certain actions that are not taking place. So the best thing to do whenever you are married, or whenever you're making that level of commitment, is make sure that you ask yourself, do you see yourself being with this person for the long run? And ask yourself some serious questions. There's nothing wrong with asking, certain questions before you even factor in, being in a relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend, with this person, and asking certain things so that it prevents you in the long run from having or being exposed to that future heartache. Because at the end of the day, when two people divorce, there is heartache, there's hurt, there's healing that needs to take place now. There's a certain level of embarrassment, that takes place, because now you're seeing two people who, have been exposed to different family members, different friends. Now it's like a whole separation.
Right, everything is together.
Exactly.
But let me ask you a question. You're giving advice in terms of, before you get married, make sure you're on the same page, make sure that you do this, you do that. You do all that, and then you get into a marriage.
But a lot of people don't.
Okay, and there are people who do, and it still fails. And what is the short end there? Because you can only control yourself in a relationship. You cannot control somebody else. You understand what I'm saying? You cannot control how somebody else responds, how they grow, and their resistance towards you. So you get into a marriage with somebody, and they're fine for 5 years, and then something happens, and then they change. What do you suggest in a marriage? Because obviously, if I'm a boyfriend, I could just walk away. It's not easy, emotional hurt, but it's easier. But when you're married, there's so many other things, it's a legal situation at this point. But then it's like, how do you really tell someone that you cannot walk away from a marriage if they're not getting everything they need from it? What do you do? What do you do? You just stay miserable?
Well, I don't believe in being miserable in a marriage. I think it's so important to make sure that God is the center of your marriage.
Right.
I think it's important to make sure that you guys are praying together. I feel like it's important to make sure you guys are reading the word together, and just making sure that there are certain aspects of the marriage that remain interesting, in terms of either going out to eat, doing little things, spending time, or just even having
maintaining that same energy.
Yeah.
Continue to date while you're married. And a lot of people get comfortable and complacent, and that's exactly what happens. And the same person is just not the same person, and you get bored, and there's so much attention out there, and you get distracted, and it's enticing.
So I think the key aspect here is to understand that when you do make the decision to want to get married to someone, it's more about being selfless. If you're entering marriage in terms of me, myself, and I, you're already setting yourself up for failure. Absolutely. If you're looking at it in terms of what can I get from it, as opposed to how can I be beneficial in this relationship towards making my spouse happy. If you're looking to make me happy, I'm looking to make you happy, and of course our happiness is coming from God, then it's like we're able to fulfill that void of being unhappy.
Right.
So with that being said, I feel like this whole aspect of divorce, I know it's something that's rough for anyone who goes through it, and if you're contemplating marriage or thinking about marriage, just make sure that it's certainly a level of commitment that you have to make sure that you're ready for. Certainly something you have to fast and pray about. It's certainly something you have to make sure that your finances are, in place. The both of you are working together, that you both can be honest and transparent with each other, because teamwork makes the dream work. Aside from that, I don't know if there's any last few words you wanted to say.
In terms of the Devon and Franklin and Megan good situation, we pray for them, and as both individuals, and we hope that they can heal, and whatever that's going on with them grows.
Healing is important.
And judging them and having such a high expectation for, celebrities or popular people is such an unfair pressure. And we have to always remember that everybody is human and things happen. And when these things happen, they didn't fail you, they didn't fail us. Things just happen, and all you can do is pray for them. It's hard, it's sad, and it's just discouraging to see these things. But we should never hold the relationship of humans as an example for us. We should hold only God's relationship as an example, because humans will fail us, and they will do things that we do not expect. but God never fails us. So that's ultimately the person that we should set as an example for us in relationships. And that's how I feel.
Well, thank you so much for your wise words. If you enjoyed what you heard today, we want you to like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.